All right, folks, welcome back to Crime Wire Weekly. Got a slew of topics coming your way today. We're going to cover some of the new crime laws that went into effect on August 1st that if you're a Louisiana resident, you need to know about. The Border Patrol, also in Louisiana, lost track of 2 handcuffed men in Tangipahoa Parish.
No big deal.
One of those guys still at large. An LPSO sheriff's deputy was forced to use lethal force after an interstate pursuit crossing 2 Louisiana parishes. We're going to talk about that. In Alabama, a bizarre killing of 2 after decades-long Facebook post would have made you think these people were friends. Very bizarre. We have an up-to-the-minute information on the tragic In-N-Out Burger mass shooting that occurred just a few days ago. A man has been arrested for arson in the massive Spokane, Washington fires.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been seeing all the bits? It's horrific.
I know, bits and pieces, but when I saw how many people and then those mandatory evacuations, it's like, okay, this is getting out of control.
Yeah, it's horrible. The defense in the Madison Brooks trial, they were attempting to ban pink in the courtroom. Now, the Madison Brooks trial is a Louisiana case. We'll talk about it in a little while, but we're going to tell you why they were attempting to ban it and what the result of that was. We've got another Lustful Lawbreakers segment. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. You'll have to wait around and listen. We're also going to talk about the Lindsey Clancy trial.
Yeah, I've been following that one. And, there's a lot of components to that one. It depends on the mindset you're in, I think, because people are very polarized by that one.
What is she in trouble for?
She's the one who strangled all 3 of her children to death with the exercise bands.
Allegedly.
And then, no.
Well, I mean, until the trial is over.
Well, no,
I'm not saying she didn't do it.
No,
I'm just saying
we know she did
as
it.
of now,
the question's more about why she did it, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty seriously, a lot of people are polarized by this one. We'll talk more about it, though.
All right. We're going to talk about a third arrest that has been made in the Nolan Wells case over threats to kill witnesses. In overtime, we're going to bring you another segment of the True Crime Time Machine. A man in Kentucky has been released after killing a child and serving less than 10 years in prison.
And we actually covered that a long time ago on this show that could happen. And now we're seeing it come to fruition.
Alexee I always struggle with her last name, Trevizo. I don't know why I struggle with that, but she has won big in the Supreme Court in Colorado.
Indeed, she has.
We're going to talk about her. The YMCA, a camp counselor, has been arrested for the 3rd time for child sexual assault.
Things that make you go, to be once accused of something makes you kind of go, ooh, but 3 times?
Yeah.
That's a pattern.
You got to hear this. Yeah. And so we're going to jump right into it. But as you can see, man, as far as topics, we're covering it all today.
Yep.
All right, let's start off in Louisiana. And Kelly, the way we're going to do this one is I'm going to mention the law that has taken place on August 1st. So we're dropping this a few days after August 1st, but I'm going to mention the law, mention what it means, and then we'll just comment back and forth as we go along. So the first law that has I don't know if it's changed or just been, it's just been introduced, and this has everything to do with technology, is the new deepfake laws that have been passed. Louisiana passed several new laws to add criminal penalties for using AI to produce child pornography and to protect K through 12 students from deep fake material. Act 892 expands the definition of child sexual abuse material into state law to include images created with AI. And Act 211 prohibits the use of a child's image to train AI to produce child pornography. Act 496 also further prohibits the use of deepfake material against students enrolled in K through 12 schools, which I believe we covered a case where that actually happened. So what do you think about that one?
I think it's good. I think we should be doing this right now, not a minute too late. And I think of this, obviously this is horrific that people would do that, but I think of it in kind of the same realm as like NIL deals with our athletes. How
I didn't expect that.
Well, let me explain. Name, image, or likeness. They're mad because they want to make sure that no one uses their name, image, or likeness and takes. They should get paid. You know what I'm trying to say? For whenever that stuff is used, and they don't want people using it without them getting paid. Right? You can't just
NIL.
NIL. What did I say?
You said NIL.
Oh, okay. But in this case, I think of it along those same lines. Like you are the ownership of your own face and of your own body. And these kids don't have, they should be able to not have someone make something that looks like them, even if it's fake, and it be distributed and people go, oh, well, it's not real, so it doesn't really matter. It does matter because you're doing it to make it look like these children. And so I agree.
It's also pornography.
Right.
They're naked.
No, I know. But I'm saying if I agree with it, anybody, because there is an argument that people say, well, if it's not real, couldn't it be considered as like art or something? No, because it's meant to emulate something real that is illegal. And that's the whole thing here. And so I agree with it. I think it's a great law. And I think that it's going to get more and more finite as criminals are going to do what they do. And we're going to find out that it'll have to be amended probably a couple of times too.
Well, and technology has changed. You got to change with technology. Right. That's what this law is all about. A few years ago, you couldn't just deep fake somebody. I'm telling you, you can take a picture now, and not only a picture, a video of someone and manipulate it to look absolutely real. You can't tell the difference. And a lot of what spurred this was a case where a high school student actually got in a fight with another student and was kicked out of school because this other student made a deep fake image of her naked.
Right.
And it had spread all over Snapchat.
Right.
That's what spurred a lot of the law that is coming out now, where when these students are enrolled in school, if you're caught doing that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, whether you're a minor or an adult, doesn't matter. But then, of course, you also have people faking child pornography and then selling it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that anybody who's willing to purchase it should have a talking to.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's against the law as well.
Right.
Possessing child pornography is already against the law.
And so this just says, though, in that law, didn't it just say it's illegal to make it?
It's considered that deep fakes are looked at just like real child pornography, whether they are or not.
And I also would challenge our schools or whomever that students need to be made aware of this law change. I think it's important and that they understand the seriousness of it, because failure or lack of knowledge of the law is not an excuse.
Right. Agree with that. All right. Next one is protecting. The way they labeled it is restaurant workers, but it's any retail establishment. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. Mm-hmm. It can be your local antique shop. Louisiana will get tougher on people who attack front counter staff and restaurant workers. Act 892 enhances criminal penalties for assault and battery when the victims are employees of food and retail establishments. The law comes after a Baton Rouge couple was accused in March of shooting a restaurant owner over a mistake in their food order.
I mean, I agree with that too, because with cell phones and stuff today, people are filming and you're seeing it more and more that people are throwing drinks at them and swinging on them behind the counter. I mean, get on TikTok long enough and you'll see it.
Yeah.
So again, I agree, because that's nonsense. That shouldn't even be happening.
Right.
It's fast food.
And the stiffer penalties hopefully will make a big difference. Look, as someone that worked in retail for a long, long time, you got some idiots out there that will absolutely freaking act like total jerks if they don't get the answer they're looking for. And in some cases, like this Baton Rouge couple, they shot someone over a mistake on a freaking food order. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy.
Laws are made because of the knuckleheads, not because of the average ones.
Yeah, it's a law because something happened somewhere along the line to cause it. Hazing education. Act 309 requires the State Board of Regents to develop a policy on hazing prevention and reporting with the colleges and schools. It requires students to directly receive anti-hazing educational material, and for the Louisiana public and private schools that receive state funds to maintain a database of reported hazing incidents. This is named after Caleb Wilson, who was a Southern University student, died last year in a fraternity hazing incident, and the act was a result of legislative task force that worked to address hazing in educational institutions across the state. And I remember Caleb Wilson was also a band member in Southern University's band, which is world renowned.
Yeah.
You see it in the Rose Bowl and everywhere else. They can throw down.
They can, and they're fun to watch. But this has been happening more and more, which is just, you'd think this would be like once in a blue moon type thing, but like, remember Max Gruber, and there was another one too that in recent years here on our campuses that, you shouldn't be dying to be a part of something.
Right.
And you can't say, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. Well, it did. When you bring someone to the point of death, like, that's insane to me that it would go that far.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good law to have. In the past, especially when I was younger, I used to think, well, they made the choice to drink 4,000 beers. But when you make it a requirement and you're dealing with college-age students, it's a little bit different. Your mind frame is a little bit different because you think you're going to live forever, and you think, that it's so important that you belong to this fraternity. If they told you to jump off a building, a lot of people would do it. Mm-hmm. So as I aged, I matured a little bit on that. And
just a little.
I do realize, just a little. And I do realize that the importance of having these hazing laws.
Yeah.
One a little closer to home, Jody's Law, which honors Denham Springs resident Jody Mann. Her mother was actually in here recently doing a podcast. The 20-year-old was killed after being hit by a car while walking home, and Jody's Law requires law enforcement to notify other area agencies of vehicles' descriptions and other information on hit-and-run crashes. It also requires a hearing before bond can be set in such cases, which an arrest is made.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that poor mom, she's been all over our local news. If you're not from here, this, you fight so hard. She lost something very precious to her daughter, and she was an innocent victim in that. And to be hit on the side of the road and then someone just keep going is, I don't know, man, that's pretty callous.
So what do you think about the law?
I think it's good, but, so your jurisdiction is going to dictate kind of where your communication goes. And so it does make sense when you've got bordering agencies that are next to each other, that if there was a hit and run, that they need to be on the lookout for those vehicles. It's smart. I think it makes sense. I don't know. My question would be as far as how that's done, because radios, like in dispatch and all that to your police officers, they don't go along jurisdictional lines, so I don't know.
I would think it would be like an Amber Alert type situation, but just for law enforcement.
I would guess
where it goes out on everybody's
dispatch.
Like
I was going to say, it had to be on their CAD and their in their units. Maybe it'll pop up and they can be looking for them. I think it's good. It's smart, and it I don't know how it works exactly, but it's new, so we'll find out.
The other side of that law is actually what really is intriguing to me, and that is the requirement now of a hearing before bond can be set. See, prior to this law, when you had a hit and killed incident like this, there's an automatic bond. There's an automatic number there, and it doesn't matter the circumstances. If it's $20,000 bond, you don't even have to see a judge. It's $20,000 bond to get out. Now they're required to have a hearing before bond is set, which means that the judge who is setting bond is going to get all the information.
Right.
So
as it should be. Someone died.
That's right.
This isn't like you hit a pole and did property damage. Someone lost their life, so I concur. I think that's a good one too.
All right. Child grooming laws. So a new law states that if the child is under 17 and the offender is at least 4 years older, seduction, emotional manipulation, threats, promises, coercion, enticement, isolation, or extortion with the specific intent to commit a sex offense against the child is guilty of indecent behavior with a juvenile, and I may have a different opinion on this than you. I'd like to hear yours.
I would say that this is probably my favorite of all of them because you'll see it time and time and time and time again that grooming is an extremely predictable pattern. That's why predators do what they do. It's very obvious that they will befriend the child, integrate themselves, and then test the waters before the abuse occurs. It happens like clockwork that they isolate and do these things to these children. So what happens is someone may see the grooming behavior, but if it is not illegal. Now there's checkpoints to this. It's not just someone points and says. I mean, there's checkpoints to this. But if you've been around people long enough and you've been around sex offenders in the capacity of law enforcement or whatever, you know what they're doing, but you can't do anything about it because it's not illegal. It's not illegal to give gifts to your neighbor's kid. It's not illegal to say, come sit on my lap.
But just giving gifts to your neighbor's kid doesn't mean you're trying to groom them necessarily.
Right. But that's why I'm saying it's totality of circumstance. There's tick marks that are going to have to be met here. Text messages, there's other things that they're going to be looking at. But what happens here is if you can't address the fact that a child is being groomed because it's not illegal to groom, but we recognize that is absolutely going to result in a victim. Why wait until we get a victim when we could have saved the kid? That's just reactive. That's not proactive. And so I think I agree with it. I like it. I would like to know exactly what the specifications are for that, because the law doesn't earmark it directly. It does say like seduction and all that kind of stuff. Right. But you can guarantee that if that is picked up on, I think it's a good thing. Okay,
so what I'm going to say on this is I love the spirit of the law. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of these things, unfortunately, are going to be hard to prove in court. There are some cases where they're absolutely provable, like AJ said. If there's a bunch of text messages out there, things that are not based off of perception, yeah, absolutely, those would be provable. I think that it's going to be hard to prove, for example, if someone gave someone a gift and there's no other trail there, and a parent thinks, but a parent might think that.
Yeah, but it doesn't meet the muster of the law.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't.
I agree. That's exactly what I'm saying. In some situations, this is going to be very hard to prove, but I like the spirit of the law, and we'll see how it works out. I'm certainly all for anything that protects children.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought you were
I'm just trying to move on to the next thing.
Well, I wanted to add one line, though, and tell you
20 minutes in.
That this started with the Catholic Church, and a victim in the Catholic Church is where that started from. And they were talking to one of the legislators and was like, if I could have told, the things that were happening, and people knew I had said the things that were happening, but it was kind of like, it was just kind of like a gray area. And he said the words, well, why isn't grooming illegal? And that is what got that lawmaker thinking, wait a minute, wait a second. Yeah, this was like very obvious what was happening to this kid. And so that's where it came from. So I'm with you. I like the spirit of the law.
And of course, not all Catholics groom people.
No.
we want to make that quite clear.
No.
All right, let's go to the next one. Balloon releases. This is a popular ritual for mourning and celebrating the life of someone that had died, obviously. And now a new law is considering that intentional littering. The law also applies to anyone who organizes a balloon release at which 12 or more balloons are released. So if you release 11, it's apparently okay. For this, I agree with it 100% because it is especially a bad thing for animals and the wildlife out there. You wouldn't believe the amount of birds that choke on balloons.
Not only that, but very expensive livestock. Very expensive livestock is lost to this. And I think that's probably where this is really being pushed from, because, you lose a couple $100 cow behind a balloon that says rest in peace, well, golly. And then the farmer is the one that's taking the hit for that. And so I agree. And I do like, though, that they do give a limit, because that would mean that if you accidentally let go of a balloon, or if you in groups, or, if some were lost in the mayhem, then you could be charged. And
right. It has to be an intentional release.
Yes.
If your daughter's holding a balloon with Mickey Mouse ears
Disney,
on it,
and they start slamming kids.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be in Louisiana if it was in Disney.
Well, that's true. But.
If she lets go of a balloon, or he, they're not going to get arrested for that or anything, or get a fine for that. And the 12 or more is only as it relates to someone organizing the balloon release. So you can't release one intentionally in Louisiana now, or you're going to get at least fined. I mean, you're not going to get brought to Angola, but we'll see how that goes.
Serial balloon let goer.
Yeah. And I'll cover one more here because we're kind of belaboring it now, but notification when an inmate is wrongly released. So Act 116 requires the public to be notified when prisoners are wrongfully released from a parish prison facility, jail, or state correctional facility. Now, this law comes after backlash to former Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson for last year's 10 inmate jailbreak and other incidents of improper inmate release. And that happens more than y'all might think.
Well, it makes sense, though. Like, if an inmate escapes Angola, which I know that's different, but like, they're going to notify the immediate area because there's houses and people that live there. And I think that that's common sense, that you would alert people that someone is out that should not be out.
Well, I think this law actually relates more to victims. So not all the time when someone's wrongfully released are victims notified.
They should be. That should be automatic.
Of that. Yeah. And there were a few victims of these 10 guys that were released from the Orleans Sheriff's Office, and they found out via the news. They didn't find out via the Sheriff's Department or whoever would alert people to that. And these were guys that were wanted for murder or an attempted murder that were awaiting trial. And so you would think if they tried to kill somebody, they'd call that person. Well, now they have to.
Yeah, I hate that we're being super Louisiana-centric, it seems like, but this one's kind of important because we're going to stay right here in Ponchatoula, Louisiana, which is right down the road from us. But one of two barefoot, handcuffed men who ran from U.S. Border Patrol agents Monday has been captured after allegedly trying to enter an occupied home near Ponchatoula while authorities continued searching for the second suspect. The Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office identified the captured man as 26-year-old Edwin Gonzalez Avilés of Honduras.
Okay.
Sheriff Sticker said K-9 teams tracked Avilés scent for about 30 minutes before pushing him out of the woods near Bedico Creek Trailer Park, and he was taken back into custody around 3 p.m. The sheriff's office is still looking for 31-year-old Elvin Martinez, who was last seen on a trail camera in the Robert area, which is right here again, just a few exits down the road. The Tangipahoa Sheriff's Office said that the K-9 teams tracked Martinez along Highway 190, and that's whenever the scent was lost. The agency's search was called off after midnight and handed off to Border Patrol personnel. The incident began around 6:45 a.m. when Border Patrol agents stopped a vehicle along eastbound I-12 near the Tangipahoa and St. Tammany Parish line. 3 Hispanic men in the vehicle were detained, but the driver and the front seat passenger ran from agents, according to the sheriff's office. One ran north of the interstate while the other headed south. Both were barefoot and handcuffed in the front when they took off. Deputies, federal agents, and the Louisiana State Police spent several hours searching the wooded areas and the nearby creeks. Now, during the search, a 911 caller reported seeing a handcuffed man trying to enter a mobile home on Dusty Lane in the Bedico area. 2 children were inside with their father and another man, according to the children's mother. And this is a quote: "My ex-husband and the kids were still sleeping, but the suspect knocked on the door. Thinking it was somebody that they probably knew, they opened the door and noticed that there were handcuffs and tried to shut the door. He tried to push back into the house, and I'm not too sure what happened from there, but he took off running." That is scary. That is really scary. Sheriff Sticker said the encounter left the family and the surrounding community shaken. "Our homes are our fortresses and our place of security. To have a stranger, especially one in handcuffs, walk into their property and much less take their residence or try to enter their residence, it's unsettling to say the least," according to Sticker. "I'm glad we were able to capture this individual in a timely manner and hopefully put the community's fear at rest. Anyone who sees Martinez should not approach him and should call 911 immediately." TPSO said U.S. Border Patrol will provide additional information about the traffic stop and the circumstances surrounding the escape.
Yeah, and that dude is the second guy is still on the loose as of this recording anyway. Right. The problem with this is not that, okay, Border Patrol arrested 2 guys who were working a construction site and they were illegal aliens, and they went and pulled them over, however they got them, handcuffed them, and they escaped. When you break into a house or attempt to break into a house that has occupants, first of all, if that would have been my house, that dude would have sprung a leak in a heartbeat, multiple leaks. And so that's where it becomes really scary, really dangerous. So these weren't just some innocent guys who were handcuffed and trying to get away from, Big Brother here. When you involve innocent citizens and you do stuff like that, you become very dangerous. And they're lucky that whoever's house they broke into wasn't packing.
Yeah.
Because they would have been, or at least one of them would have been absolutely dead. Hopefully they'll catch the other one. Mind-boggling to me that someone can escape with handcuffs like that and still be on the run.
I was actually going to...
I'm sure he doesn't have them on anymore.
I was actually going to address that. Those deputies officers had just detained them, and that's why they were handcuffed in the front. And that was out of a courtesy. If you're handcuffed in the back, you don't have the balance, and it makes things much more difficult.
Absolutely.
I bet you from now on, that courtesy will not be extended. Yeah,
that policy's about to change.
Yep, got a handcuff in the back.
All right, let's stay in. Look, Tangi Parish had a bad day because this happened the same day, and we're going to start off in Livingston Parish and make our way to Tangipahoa Parish. And a Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office deputy shot and killed a fleeing suspect. This occurred this past Monday morning. This prompted a partial closure of I-55 and an investigation by the Louisiana State Police. According to the Louisiana State Police, an LPSO deputy attempted to stop a car in relation to a criminal investigation, quote unquote. If you're like my wife, you're saying, well, what did they stop him for? I don't know. I have no idea.
They were actually...
She thinks I got all this inside info. They don't tell me nothing.
Well, I believe they were chasing him.
They were chasing him. She wanted to know why they were attempting to stop him.
Oh, okay.
The driver, 50-year-old John E. Granger III of Robert, and that's Robert, Louisiana. He refused to stop, and a pursuit that started near Albany, Louisiana, which is in Livingston Parish, ended on southbound I-55 North and the I-12 interchange, with Granger crashing into another car. Granger then ran from deputies into a wooded area. I don't advise doing that. And LPSO Sheriff Jason Ard said in a video posted to social media, well, instead of me quoting him, I'm going to let you hear it quickly. It's just real short. Here's that clip.
I'm just checking in. I'm on I-55. I know y'all have heard about the officer-involved shooting. My deputy is okay. Everything is good. This is just one of them scenes we have to process. This actually took place and started in Albany with a vehicle pursuit. You can see we have the vehicle there. And basically what we know right now is that the deputy pursued this vehicle. This vehicle left the interstate. He actually decided to go down that area back there. And in doing so, he wound up crashing into another vehicle. He then ran on foot. The deputy chased him. The deputy had to tase the suspect. The suspect fought through the taser, disarmed the deputy of his taser. After doing that, he basically started tasing the deputy as they were having a physical altercation. Deputy then did what he had to do to survive this incident. So right now, the deputy is okay. We know our suspect is in the hospital in critical condition, and we just ask you just to stay tuned. And as we get more information, we'll give you that information. It's very important for us to work through these crime scenes and make sure that we do our due diligence. And in this investigation, Louisiana State Police are on the scene. They will be doing the investigation for us because we're now in Tangipahoa Parish, and it just works better that way. So thank you for all the prayers. Thank you for staying tuned. And again, we'll get back with you as soon as we have more information.
So as you heard, the deputy deployed a taser, and the suspect did what Sheriff Jason Ard referred to as fought through that taser, disarmed it from the deputy, and began using the taser against the deputy, at which point the deputy then shot Granger. The deputy did sustain minor injuries. Granger was taken to the hospital, where he later died, and the driver, incidentally, the Granger hit, was uninjured. injured.
Good. I'm glad that person was okay. And I'll say this, there's been a lot of questions and speculation and all of that about, oh my gosh, how did he get the taser from him? I'm going to tell you how. I wasn't there and I don't have any information other than basic knowledge of he gets the guy after he's done a bunch of different things wrong. Then he's following that, that course of action that you're supposed to take on the continuum of force. He showed presence. He had his lights. He gets the guy. He crashes. He pulls over. He pulls the taser. He's taser. He hits. But what people may not realize is that whenever a taser is deployed, even if the prongs don't hit right, they can still like dry stun you with it. Still, it doesn't mean that it's just inactive. They can still dry stun you. So here you are fist fighting some guy. I'm assuming there's been no release of tape or anything, but he says there's a struggle. So they're fighting.
Well, he fought through that taser.
Right. Fought through the taser, which I would be willing to bet was dry stunning him. And then finally he drew his weapon. The guy didn't stop and he got popped. That's how it goes.
After he was getting tased.
I mean,
and that's kind of my question. When you have a taser, Kelly, because you would know, when you have a taser and you shoot that taser, what I'm thinking is, okay, you got one prong there and it comes out, it hits the person, in the buttocks or somewhere, and you tase them. First of all, tasers don't always work. Some people, it just don't affect them for whatever reason.
It depends on your body mass.
They can fight through it.
It depends on your body mass and everything.
But my second question is, does it have more prongs? Or is it just one prong? One shot?
No. So the model that this deputy had, as far as I would know, is two prongs come out. You get hit with two, and that's what's...
Two separate wires.
Yes, and that's what's conducting that current. So if the suspect was like hit with one and the other one missed, then he's not getting the full tase. Didn't the suspect get tased first with a partial? Didn't somebody say that in another report?
According to the quote from the sheriff, the deputy deployed a taser and the suspect fought through the taser.
Yeah. So then
started tasing the deputy. So how did they my question to you, listen to my question.
That's the dry stun.
How many wires do you have? Because if you fight through a taser.
It's a cartridge and then you refire to light them back up. Okay. So what it sounds like to me,
so you can shoot more than once. You can shoot at someone more than once with a taser.
Well, you're just lighting them back up. Like the prong is in you and then you're just lighting them back up.
But if I then disarm you with the taser, and then I shoot you with the taser, how's that possible?
That's because that's not what I think happened. I think that the cartridge would be taken out and then he's dry stunning him with it. It's like it's a dry stun.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking a prong hit the bad guy, okay? And then he fought the taser off of him, but he could still pop you with that taser. He's just not shooting you with a new loaded.
So the electricity is still coming. So the guy that fought through the taser and then tased the deputy was basically using the taser on his skin? That's what... Like a stun gun almost?
I'm assuming that's what this is. I mean, I don't know what model. I don't know what...
Well, a regular firearm has bullets.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if a taser had more than one shot, if you will, one bullet in it that can hit somebody and tase them.
I think the one that this deputy would have been a cartridge that goes in, and then when you fire, it's a two prong that comes out. But you want to get a solid two. You have to get both wires in the guy to get the full effect of it. If you only hit him with one wire, you got a problem.
I got you. Well, there you have it.
Yeah. Now, I haven't done taser training in a long time. So, if it's a newer model or something, then I'm wrong and y'all can shoot me out on it.
All right.
All right. Let's go to Reform, Alabama.
Okay.
Reform, Alabama.
Yeah.
All right. And
very
Alabama.
Familiar with Reform.
Are you? Mm-hmm. Man, I don't know anything. You've been everywhere. I hadn't been anywhere.
I haven't been there, but I'm familiar with it.
Oh. An Alabama man accused of brutally killing a U.S. Army veteran and his wife inside their home had publicly praised the couple and their family for years on social media, including a post that he did just right before their deaths. George Birmingham, 46 years old, was arrested on the early morning of July the 12th and later charged with capital murder, 2 counts of murder, second-degree burglary, drug possession, and resisting arrest in connection with the deaths of Justin Elrod, 43, and Lena Elrod, 42. The couple was found dead around 12:15 a.m. inside of their home after authorities responded to reports of a burglary. Court documents alleged that Birmingham killed Justin Elrod by striking him or stabbing him around the head and the body with a metallic object, and killed Lena Elrod by beating her in the head with an electric reciprocating saw. That sounds like a nightmare. Wow. Authorities said the killings occurred before a burglary of the home. Birmingham is being held without bond on the capital murder charge. Facebook posts show Birmingham had portrayed the Elrods as close friends for roughly a decade. Posts mentioning the couple date back nearly 10 years. And in a June 16th post, less than a month before the killings, Birmingham wrote about a hypothetical Mars colonization trip and listed friends and family that he would take, including Justin and Lena. No one listens better than him, and no one is more fun to argue with than her, he wrote, closing with, I love you guys. He added that he was very thankful for them. In February of 2017, Birmingham shared a GoFundMe campaign to help cover medical expenses for one of the Elrod children, writing that the family was very dear to his heart. That May, he hosted a benefit comedy show to raise further funds for the family. In a 2018 post, he referred to some of my favorite ladies, that was a quote, alongside a photo that included one of Elrod's daughters. Authorities have described Birmingham as an acquaintance of the couple, but a daughter of Lena Elrod, and so this would have been Justin's stepdaughter, said that Birmingham had been close with the family for years, that his wife ran a cleaning business with Lena, and he was best friends with Justin. Okay. So Justin Elrod served in the U.S. Army as a military police officer and was deployed to both Afghanistan and Iraq. After leaving the military, he worked as a federal correctional officer in Aliceville. And then friends and family members described him as humble, hardworking, and just an all-around nice guy. Aliceville Mayor Terrence Wyndham said Elrod was the last person that I would think that something like this would happen to, noting that he had survived military service and prison work only to die in this manner. Co-workers expressed ongoing shock at the loss. The Pickens County Sheriff's Office asked the public to keep the victims' families and the first responders who discovered the scene in their thoughts. The Elrod family requested that memorial donations be made to the Wounded Warrior Project in Justin's memory. And we want to give our shout out to listener Cindy Schwartz for sending us that story.
Yeah. So on this one, just a couple things I want to say. First of all, when I heard this story, it was one of the strangest stories I had ever reviewed, because this guy, y'all wrap your mind around this, for the last 10 years has been acting like he's besties with these people.
Yeah.
And you don't, hopefully you're not going to kill your bestie, right? Mm-hmm. Not only that, I had a picture in my head. It's funny how perception is, but I had a picture in my head of what these people looked like. And if you're watching the Patreon right now, you see what they look like. And that picture was, you know, maybe a smaller guy and all of those sorts of things. This dude, this military guy, is absolutely jacked. Mm-hmm. He is a big dude. And the guy that actually killed him is a bigger dude.
He's like a healthy
one of them,
boy.
though, is very healthy, and one of them is just jacked with muscle on top of muscle. So they haven't come out with what spurred this, as far as there had to be something going on somewhere, because the daughter of the guy that killed him says, oh, no, they weren't only friends. There was a working relationship between the wife and this person's wife, apparently, or this person's relative. So we're going to try to keep you posted on it. But what a strange, 10 years worth of Facebook posts loving these people, and you kill them.
Yeah. I don't know why my brain went to the fact that I think that this guy, and you just make up the scenario in your head of how you think this could have happened when you're looking at people. But because of the fitness of the husband, I'm more inclined to think that the killer kind of snuck him. That's why, like he wasn't prepared for that. And then the tool he used to kill the wife seems like something he just grabbed out of proximity. Like it was right there and he could use it.
Yeah, because that's a strange tool to use, a reciprocating
So maybe then she came in on it, saw it, and he was like, got to get rid of that witness. But it's strange.
I don't know. I mean, that guy's a big dude. That's a big dude right there. He's what, 60? How many inches does it say he is tall? Because, of course, God forbid we use feet.
It's 66.
66 inches. So what is that in feet?
I don't know.
Well, that's like 5'6". So he's short guy, but he's stout.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, hopefully we'll get more information on that. Now, we're going to go to Twin Falls, Idaho, and one of the most trending stories in the country right now. Horrible, horrific. A gunman opened fire at a crowded In-N-Out Burger restaurant in Twin Falls. This was Saturday afternoon, this past Saturday. He killed 3 people and wounded 7 others before dying of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The attack occurred around 2:29 p.m. at the In-N-Out Burger on Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. It had opened just a week earlier to this incident on July 24th. It was part of California-based chain's expansion into Idaho. The restaurant sits in a busy commercial area. Twin Falls Police Chief Matthew Hicks identified the shooter as 24-year-old Chad Williams. Hicks said investigators believe Williams acted alone. He died nearby from what authorities determined was a self-inflicted gunshot wound after being confronted by an off-duty Idaho State Police trooper and an armed private citizen who returned fire. Quote, "We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing more casualties," and I can't agree with that more. The armed civilian has been identified in multiple reports as Jordan Salinas, who is 35 of Kimberly, Idaho. And if you've seen the video of this guy, he looks like he just stepped off of the Yellowstone TV show or something. But actually, he was a healthcare worker, y'all, and caregiver. Salinas said he drew a suppressed pistol, engaged the gunman after arriving for lunch and hearing gunfire. Police have not officially identified the off-duty trooper. Of the 7 people injured, 2 were treated and released. 3 were listed in stable condition and 2 remain in critical condition. This is as of the latest update, and those figures are described as preliminary. Now, tell you a little bit about those who died. Ashley Garibay, who is 23 of Stockton, California, an In-N-Out associate and manager who had traveled to Twin Falls to help train workers, and she ends up dead, sadly. Christopher Claunch, who is 59 of Hagerman, Idaho. He worked at what's known as the Residence Ranch Recovery Center, and he helped others with sobriety. Relatives said he was an avid In-N-Out fan and had been excited by the Twin Falls location and wanted to get there early on. Dan Schultz, who is 66 from Salt Lake City, Utah, he and his wife, Renette, were visiting Idaho over the weekend on their way to a family reunion. They were charging their electronic car in a nearby the In-N-Out location when the shooting broke out. Dale's wife, Renette, is being treated for extensive shoulder injuries following that shooting. And of course, Dale passed away. Among the wounded was Terry Dudley, a local taxi driver who was shot while charging his electric vehicle nearby, probably in the same area as the Schultz were. And he was wounded. There were several other people wounded they have not identified yet. And a motive remains under investigation. Nobody knows why the hell this guy did this. The only thing we know as of this point is that he attended the College of Southern Idaho from August of 22 to August of 2023, but he didn't graduate, and he worked briefly as a student senator before being impeached for lack of engagement.
Yeah. So, it's hard, I have an opinion, but I'm sure to derive it this quickly is silly. But it sounds like this is going to be that typical thing. Unfortunately, say typical, where this guy goes off to college. He starts withdrawing from social life. He becomes a recluse. I bet there's going to be online metadata that they're going to find of him going through some, crazy thoughts and being part of weird groups or something. And then he goes out and he's going to go make his mark by shooting people at an In-N-Out burger.
Well, this is all speculation.
It is absolutely speculation, but he didn't know anybody there. So this had to be some sort of internal personal problem that he went and he took out on innocent victims and bystanders. And it sounds like he's shooting everywhere. He's shooting taxi drivers and he's like people that are just nearby. I don't know. You're a coward. Whatever the reason is, it's not good enough to do that to people.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed. All right, let's go to Spokane, Washington. A 37-year-old Spokane man has been arrested on suspicion of first-degree arson in connection with the Old Trails fire, one of 3 major wildfires that have destroyed hundreds of structures and forced tens of thousands of residents to evacuate the county. Aaron Farinacci, I believe is how you would say that, was taken into custody around 5 p.m. Monday without incident after detectives served an arrest warrant and a search warrant at his residence in the 2800 block of West Elliott Drive. The sheriff announced this on Monday. Farinacci is being held at the Spokane County Jail on $1 million bond. The Old Trails fire started Saturday morning near the intersection of North Old Trail Road and West, I don't even know how to say this word, Euclid. Euclid?
I don't know.
I'm ignorant today. I don't know how to say that. Another road. And then north of Airway Heights. It rapidly spread through Riverside State Park and into neighborhoods in the Northwest Spokane area. And it became the largest and most destructive of the 3 blazes in what officials are calling the Spokane Complex Fire. I'm going to say this real quick, too. I was getting notifications on my phone about mandatory evacuations for this. Were you?
No.
I don't know why I was getting those. Preliminary estimates put structural losses in the hundreds, with figures ranging from around 640 to more than 700 buildings destroyed or damaged across the complex, and many of them are homes. Tens of thousands of people, estimates have ranged from about 65,000 to 67,000, were under evacuation orders. According to the investigators, a witness reported seeing a man acting suspiciously and kneeling in the grass near the fire's eventual ignition point on Saturday. The same witness later contacted Airway Heights police after seeing that man again and noticing smoke. Officers located Farinacci roughly a mile to a mile and a half from the origin, detained him, and questioned him. They then released him at that time so that resources could follow and focus up on the rapidly growing fire. But what's weird to me is what he was in possession of when they let him go, because he was found in possession of waterproof matches and a butane lighter. That's odd to me that he was let go. I don't know why he didn't remain detained. Spokane County Sheriff's Office, major crimes detectives working with the Washington Department of Natural Resources fire investigators later determined that the fire originated at the exact location where the witness had observed Farinacci kneeling. Evidence of the scene was consistent with ignition by a match or a lighter. Authorities obtained a warrant Monday and they arrested him. It is a continuing and ongoing investigation. He emphasized that the citizen tips and awareness were critical to the relatively quick identification of the suspect. Farinacci, who is a Spokane resident, has a prior felony manslaughter conviction in Arizona stemming from a 2010 incident in Mesa in which he fatally shot his father following a domestic dispute. He has no prior arson convictions, though officials noted that he had previously been contacted regarding arson-related behavior. Investigators have not linked him to the other 2 major fires in the area, the Autumn Lane and the Fairview fires, which causes still remain under investigation. During questioning, Farinacci reportedly told authorities they, quote, didn't know the whole story, end quote. That was according to the sheriff. The fires remain a major priority with low or zero containment reported in the days following ignition amid challenging winds and dry conditions. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson has described the situation as likely the worst natural disaster in Spokane history.
Unbelievable that one person can be responsible for all of that. And I know everybody out there listening has seen at least some of the footage of the devastation going on right now in Washington. And with fires, it's different than any other sort of event because these fires, which obviously this person started, but sometimes they're just wildfires. It's just dry and hot and something sparks. And in this case, you're talking 60,000+ people affected. And when your house burns down, it's totally gone. It's different than like a flood where at least, I can speak from experience, at least you got sticks, a shell of your house to start with. I mean, everything is totally destroyed in a situation like this. So somebody that would do something like that is to me about as low as you can get.
Yeah, you murdered or you killed your own father, and then you went and destroyed.
Yeah, and apparently in that situation, it was considered justified. I don't know anything about that case, but I mean, he's out.
Yeah.
And so that makes me think that if he killed his own father, maybe there was something behind that. I don't know. There was some justification for it, apparently. If he was out, I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that what he did was, obviously he doesn't care. Obviously he doesn't care about other people.
All right, let's go into Lustful Lawbreakers. All right, and we're going to go to St. Petersburg, Florida for a really bad young lady. A 19-year-old woman was arrested this past Saturday after she allegedly spat in the face of a restaurant manager while being escorted out of a downtown St. Petersburg establishment. And I know what you're saying. Well, she spat in someone's face. How is that a Lustful Lawbreakers segment? Well, the reason that she spat in this restaurant owner's face is because she got caught engaging in sex in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the one place I'd want to be. Gross.
Yeah. According to police, Haley Serbal was confronted by employees of what's known as Shish So Crispy. This is around 1 a.m. last Saturday for having sex in the bathroom at the restaurant. When staff members were guiding her toward the exit, she turns and she spits in the face of an employee who was the restaurant's general manager. The spit was visible on the victim's face, and multiple witnesses observed the act, according to the arrest warrant. She was charged with misdemeanor battery, which it surprises me that she's caught having sex in the bathroom. Why is she not charged with that too? But misdemeanor battery was what she was charged with and was booked into the Pinellas County Jail, later released on a $1,000 bond. And court records indicate that she faces other pending felony cases prior to this stuff going on. She was previously arrested last year in connection with an auto burglary and being an accessory after the fact to an aggravated assault with a firearm. She also accepted pretrial diversion programs after an arrest for criminal mischief involving the slashing of a car tire. So this girl's decision making is not the best. As you can see, there's no indication that the manager who was spit on, there's no indication that, the manager who was spit on has any charges related to the incident. She was identified solely as the victim of the battery. So apparently she didn't fight back, but even if she did, they wouldn't have charged her for that. Now, you may wonder what Shisho Crispy is, and I did, because I'm like, what kind of name is that? It's a popular Asian fusion restaurant that expanded from a food truck concept into a full brick and mortar location in downtown St. Petersburg, and apparently it has a rather large bathroom.
A big bathroom and an aphrodisiac on the plate, because I mean, what are we doing that the bathroom at the dadgum Asian fusion is where we're, getting down?
Hey, speak for yourself.
Well, hey,
speak
do your thing. But her history aggravates me. This is why I was never allowed to be a judge, because I would be slamming her. She's been slashing tires, banging in the bathroom.
Well, she may be. She may get slammed.
She should be, because she's
already been slammed in the bathroom.
That's
she may get slammed in court next.
Oh, okay. All I'm saying is that kind of person gets on my nerves, because you're just being a foolish, lustful lawbreaker.
You almost said foolish felony. Girl,
I sure did. I was messed it up.
Y'all, Kelly's recording. It's really late in the day, which is why the Patreon members haven't got this till late in the day. Yeah. So Kelly's recording late. Her brain's getting scrambled. She's got foolish felons and lustful lawbreakers all the same segment.
She's got me all confuzzled over here. All right, so we're going to come right back here to Baton Rouge, but this case has made national news, and so this update is kind of interesting. So the Madison Brooks case, that is huge in our area. It's been a long time coming that this would go to court. So Judge Gail Ray ruled Thursday to allow spectators to wear pink to the courthouse in support of Madison Brooks at the trial of her accused rapist, Desmond Carter. Now, that's kind of something people didn't expect. There was a lot of talk online of your shirt color is going to be what we're having to rule on. Well, an attorney for Carter had filed a motion to block Madison Brooks supporters from wearing pink during the upcoming trials, while Judge Ray denied the motion to ban the pink out T-shirts with Brooks' picture, signs, and badges. Those will be prohibited. So Carter is one of 3 suspects facing charges in the rape of Brooks before her death. Carter, who was 17 at the time of his arrest, will be tried as an adult for first-degree rape and third-degree rape. If convicted of first-degree rape, he faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Third-degree carries a penalty of up to 25 years in prison. Carter's trial is set to begin August 17th after failed attempts to dismiss the charges. Other pretrial motions were being considered, including a motion that 2 charges create double jeopardy for Carter because the first degree and the third degree rape reference the same act. Anyone attending the trial, including Brooks's family, will be allowed to wear pink. In the courtroom, the judge is quoted as saying, "Pink is often used in merchandise for the Madison Brooks Foundation, which is a nonprofit that was founded by her mother." The defense argued that plans for spectators to wear pink were a, quote, plot to intimidate the jury.
Of course they would. So, yeah, I got no problem with that. If you want to show support for the family in this tragic incident, I got no problem with anybody wearing pink. I don't think that's going to, quote unquote, intimidate a jury. They're going to know who the supporters are because apparently you sit on one side when you're the supporter and the other side when you're the other person's supporter. And Jim Chapman didn't know that and went to a trial and got ugly looks all the time because apparently I was sitting with who the prosecution deemed the enemy. But that's a story for another day. Now, in this case, I didn't have a problem with it, and I would have been shocked if the judge would have not allowed that. And I'll take that a step further and say I've seen many trials where people wear the picture of the person and, justice for and whoever that person is. I would think there's precedent in this case already.
So there is. And I think that the judge made a good decision here. So here's the deal. Whenever you are in you're an observer of court, okay, it is probably not in good decision to wear shirts that would have a victim's face on it, even though you want to. I know emotionally it's a knee-jerk thing that I can't, why can't I? But I think it's a smart decision that is not allowed by a lot of judges, because what it does do is raise an appeal opportunity based on the very fact that you wearing that could adversely, the argument would adversely affect the jury in terms of emotion or whatever. I remember very vividly speaking with Max Schachter, whose son, was killed by the Parkland shooter. And when they were told that they couldn't wear shirts that had, their son's picture on it, it really enraged him. That my son's dead and I can't represent him, but I understand why. It's actually to save you from further problems if you don't want to give them a reason to be able to make an appeal because of an unobjective courtroom experience, which you are supposed to be given by law and the Constitution. So pink, I don't think is explicitly implied to Madison Brooks. Lots of people like pink, and I think, and maybe I'm going too deep with it, but a color does not represent just one person in this world. But a shirt with her face on it would. And so I do agree. And I think that's why the judge made the right decision. You can wear pink, just nothing with her face or logo or anything that may somewhat influence the jury or give an opportunity to raise an appeal. I think the judge, again, is saving these people from themselves in a way by making it as objective and neutral as possible, so it won't give this guy the opportunity to get some type of appeal out in the event that he is convicted. So good move.
Yeah. So big case in Louisiana. It's actually going down in just a couple of weeks. Very close to, as a matter of fact, some of the accused are from this parish. So, we'll bring you the updates on that one. Now let's get into another case that's close to home. And if you listen to my podcast, you're no stranger to this one. I've dropped 4 episodes on this particular case, and that is the Nolan Wells case. A third person has been arrested for allegedly threatening witnesses in Nolan Wells case 1 month after his disappearance. And I'm just going to be clear here. It wasn't just witnesses. It was the mother, who is also a sitting judge of one of the boys that was involved in this case named Warren. So that led to an arrest, and they have several more that have now been arrested. This case is out of control. It has fueled a lot of attention on Wells' friends and their actions surrounding his disappearance, and his family, as well as all these boys, have faced a ton of criticism and online abuse with no provable anything evidence-wise as of yet. Now, no one has been charged, y'all, with anything on Wells' disappearance or death. In the latest update, Edward James Porter, who was 40, was arrested on charges of transmitting threatening communications. On Thursday, July 30th, Joseph DeMarcy, who is a 27-year-old California resident, arrested for the same thing pretty much. And Michelle Edwards of Cincinnati, Ohio, has also been arrested on the same charges for calling in bomb threats. Now, these people didn't know each other. This is all just threats getting called in, and messages, voice messages threatening the lives of these people. And it's got to stop. It is doing nothing to get to the bottom of what happened to Nolan Wells. It's only creating division. And guess what? These people are fighting back. They have a GoFundMe. It's not called GoFundMe. It's Give Send Go, which is like the
sister.
It's the competition of GoFundMe, and Give Send Go right now in just a couple of days in relation to these boys has raised almost $300,000 for these young men to fight back against all the defamation that they are getting right now as it relates to this case in their view. And so it's a pretty hot case right now, and the threats are out of control.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the people that are calling in these threats are
idiots.
They're not only idiots, but I want to tell you, they exemplify exactly what the numbnuts that don't think about anything. They just make up their own decision about what must have happened with no rhyme or reason other than what the media is putting out there, and pundits are out there arguing these what ifs with no evidence whatsoever. And so I'm getting frustrated with this case because all we know is a black kid. If you watch the news, a black kid's dead. White kids must have done it just because he was black and they were white. And we don't really know anything else. And it's mind-blowing to me that people would go to the extent of making up their minds it must have been malice. It had to have been malice. I think that you have to be a racist within your own soul to go after somebody like that with no evidence. You are the problem, calling in bomb threats and all of that. Let's go to Plymouth, Massachusetts. The murder trial of Lindsey Clancy, the former Massachusetts General Hospital labor and delivery nurse, accused of strangling her 3 young children in 2023, is ongoing in Plymouth Superior Court, with testimony focusing on the events of the killings and her mental state at the time. Clancy, who is 35, has pled not guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of her children, Cora, who was 5, Dawson, who was 3, and Callan, who was 8 months. Prosecutors dropped 3 related strangulation charges ahead of trial, calling them redundant to the murder counts. If convicted of the first-degree murder, she faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Authorities allege that on January 24th, Clancy sent her husband, or her then-husband, Patrick Clancy, out of the house to pick up some takeout and some medication. While he was gone, she strangled the 3 children with exercise bands in the basement of the family home. She then cut her wrists and her neck and jumped from a second-story window, suffering a spinal cord injury that left her paralyzed from the waist down. She remains in a wheelchair and has been held at, is this Tewksbury Hospital? On that. Patrick Clancy discovered the children upon returning home and made a frantic 911 call that was played in court, during which he is heard yelling, "She killed the kids." Jurors have also heard testimony about the scene, the children's injuries, and Clancy's own medical treatment after the fall. The central issue at trial is whether Clancy was criminally responsible. Her defense attorney, which is Kevin Reddington, argues she was suffering from postpartum psychosis and was over-medicated at the time, claiming she heard a voice telling her it was her quote-unquote last chance to kill the children so she could kill herself. The defense points to her history of seeking medical health treatment, including a voluntary stay at McLean Hospital in the weeks before the killings and a complex regimen of psychiatric medications. Prosecutors contend Clancy acted with deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. They argue she intentionally cleared the house by sending her husband on errands and carried out the killings swiftly and rationally. Assistant District Attorney Buckingham has told jurors that this was not a case of a woman in the throes of psychosis, but one of intentional action. Jury selection began July 20th with a panel of 12 jurors and 6 alternates seated. Upon opening statements and testimony that followed, this included multiple days from Patrick Clancy, which was the ex-husband, medical personnel, and others. The trial is expected to last several weeks and has included emotional moments, such as the playing of the 911 call and descriptions of the children's final moments. Clancy has appeared in court in a wheelchair. The case has drawn significant attention to issues of postpartum mental illness, maternal mental health treatment, and criminal responsibility.
And I'm not going to say a whole lot about this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm a guy, and I can't relate to postpartum depression. I know it exists because I know some people that suffer from that. So I'm not going to give comments on something that I don't understand, and I'm man enough to admit I don't understand that. Horrific, tragic, can't imagine it, of course, but I'll let you do the comment on this one.
Yeah, so obviously the trial's not over. We only know what we know from the trial. What I can tell you is that the divide on this case is huge. There is a huge divide between people, and it seems to be, in my humble opinion, that we lost 3 children. Okay, 3 children died, and a lot of people cannot get past that statement to even want to listen to the evidence that's being placed. And I'm not saying it's not right. I mean, of course we should mourn these 3 children. They're innocent victims. I just do think that what's been presented so far at trial has been pretty eye-opening.
Okay.
Pretty eye-opening.
So is because I haven't followed this case, is this lady denying she did this, or is she saying there's a reason for why I did this?
She's saying that she was in not just depression, that she was...
So she's admitting to killing these kids.
Yeah, there's not a question that she killed the children.
Okay. And she's admitting to that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
The argument, I mean, she pled not guilty, but I think it's on the...
By reason of, or not guilty like I didn't do it? That's the question I'm trying to... I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, you're...
But the question I'm trying to get to is she pleading not guilty by reason of insanity because she had, or by reason of postpartum depression, or is she denying she even killed these children? I mean, to me, that makes a difference as a follower of the case, I guess.
She's arguing, she's not arguing that she didn't do it. She is arguing that she's not criminally, she's responsible. She did this, but her argument is that she was in this postpartum psychosis and taking multiple medications.
Like she was insane.
Yes.
Contemporary insane.
And I'll give you a little insight real quick. So the prosecution is saying that that her suicide attempt was a fake attempt at suicide. I'll tell you this. That's the most real attempt at suicide I've ever seen in my life, that you would make yourself permanently disabled, shatter your spine. I saw the photos. It's a pretty freaking convincing fake attempt.
Well, Murdaugh shot himself in the head, and they said it was a fake.
This is
or had someone shoot him in the head.
This one's and there's also
allegedly
there's also something weird about it because based on all of the testimony to this point, okay, the doctors and nurses are like, and EMTs are kind of like, she couldn't talk. I mean, she was out of it. She was not responsive, type stuff. But her husband said that she told him the kids were in the basement. But the medical people were like, nah,
I got you.
She couldn't talk. So there's a lot of stuff that's very, I don't know, it's eye-opening.
Well, and that's why it's important that you follow trials. And that's why I'm a big proponent of cameras in the courtrooms. because of things like that. You wouldn't know those facts unless you have a good reporter that's reporting all of them. Yeah. Unless you can do things like you're following this case, you're watching it on court TV, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There you have it.
I'm trying to be very.
We would all love to be able to do that.
When I watch a trial, I'll just say this. I used to just watch a trial and be up in my feelings like when I was younger. But after some experiences in life in trials that were just travesties, I now think if that were me on trial, how would I want someone to listen to what I was saying? And I would want them to listen to everything that was being said, to be objective, to listen. Don't come in with a preconceived notion about anything. Start with a clean slate, nothing on your mind, and only work with the evidence that is presented to you. That's the fair thing to do.
I agree. And I think that's on both sides of the aisle. That's whether you're the prosecution or the defense. A case like a Nolan Wells case, people need to watch that trial, and it's important that be televised somewhere, not to sensationalize anything, but there's so much division involved in that case. If you can make up your own mind, but you got to see all the facts, and that's the only way you're going to see them all.
Yeah. I mean, to the point, too, that people can have an agenda. Obviously, both sides will have an agenda in a trial. But just to give another example, the prosecution is saying that she was doctor shopping to get all these pills because she was thinking about doing this. But when I was listening to the evidence, that's not what I heard. What I heard was that there was a practice with multiple providers in it. One provider actually left the practice. And so she was moved to a different provider. That's not doctor shopping, in my opinion. That's... Right. You're being moved to a different doctor because the other one doesn't exist anymore in that practice.
It makes sense.
So using, and that's just to date, guys. Don't jump all over me. More may have broken since this has been dropped. But I'm just saying, using your own brain is powerful. You sleep good at night when you listen and you don't just take other people's opinions.
Right, and not relying on other people's reporting, which can be inaccurate, as we're seeing in a lot of cases lately. So... I guess stay tuned for that one. Aren't you going to do an episode on that or something?
Absolutely, but I will not go hardcore until I have everything. And I know people don't like that, but I think it's part of the problem when you jump the gun.
Well, what if you report just what's occurring now?
That I am willing to do.
I would imagine you've got enough of the trial. You can do a few episodes.
I do. I have some notes, and
don't make the people wait, Kelly.
I won't.
All right. I'm not going to ask you any final thoughts because we're about to jump into overtime. All right, folks, we are in overtime, and we're going to start off in the true crime time machine. All right, and we're going to go back to August 7th of 1882. Now, what began as a heated argument over a small debt on Election Day along Blackberry Creek erupted into a savage knife and gunfight that left one man dying and set the stage for one of the most prolific feuds in history. That's right, the Hatfield and McCoys.
Hatfield and McCoys?
That's right.
That sounds like a band.
You've never heard of the Hatfield and McCoy?
I guess not.
Oh my gosh, y'all hear that? She's never heard of the Hatfield and McCoys. I'm shocked.
Are you bullying me
You shock
right
me
now?
every week. No, that's a feud. That's the most famous feud in history. I'm shocked. Okay, on August 7th of 1882, voters and local families gathered at Blackberry Creek polling near the home of Jerry Hatfield. This was in Pike Creek, Kentucky, just across from the Tug Fork in West Virginia. Whiskey, of course, flowing freely. It is Kentucky, after all. And Tolbert McCoy, who was son of Randolph McCoy, accused Elias Bad Lias was his nickname, Hatfield. They should come up with something better than that. Of still owing him about $1.75 That's right.
I want my money back.
$1.75 for a fiddle he sold years earlier. That's a good price for a fiddle. Words were exchanged. Tolbert's younger brothers, 19-year-old Farmer and 15-year-old Randolph Jr., backed him up. Local police officers and others briefly calmed the situation. Now, later in the day, Ellison Hatfield, brother of the powerful West Virginia Klan leader Anderson Hatfield, awoke from a drunken nap and joined the confrontation. Insults flew. According to accounts, Tolbert declared himself hell on earth. Ellison answered with a sharp retort, and a fist fight broke out. Tolbert drew a knife and repeatedly stabbed Ellison in the abdomen and stomach. The younger McCoy brothers piled on with their own blades, and Ellison, unarmed and bleeding heavily, grabbed a rock in a desperate attempt to fight back. At that moment, Farmer McCoy pulled a pistol and shot Ellison in the back. Ellison Hatfield collapsed with some 24 stab wounds and a gunshot injury. He was carried away, mortally wounded, and the three McCoy brothers were taken into custody by police, intending to transport them to the jail. Devil Hatfield, that was his name, Devil Ants Hatfield. He quickly organizes a posse. The group intercepted the prisoners before they got to jail. They took them from the constables and ferried them across Tug Fort into Western Virginia territory. The brothers were held under guard with a grim condition. Their lives depended on whether Ellison survived. Ellison Hatfield died of his wounds on August 9th. That night, the Hatfield party brought Tolbert, Farmer, and Randolph back to the Kentucky side of the river, and the three young men were tied to pawpaw bushes near the riverbank and executed by gunfire. More than 50 shots were fired. Their bodies were left where they fell. The killings of the three McCoy brothers on the heels of Ellison's death marked a decisive escalation. What had been a simmering conflict over livestock, land, and a fiddle and personal insults transformed into open violence that would claim more lives in the years ahead and draw national attention. Kentucky authorities later issued indictments on 20 Hatfields, including Devil Ants. But the accused largely remained beyond the reach of Kentucky law because they were in West Virginia. And the events of August 7th and the subsequent days of the 8th and 9th of 1882 became one of the most notorious chapters in the decades-long Hatfield-McCoy feud. The bloodshed on Blackberry Creek that election day remains an illustration of how quickly a personal quarrel could explode into lasting, deadly family warfare in Appalachia, and all that occurred 144 years ago today.
If
Hatfield and McCoy
got shot 50 times over a fiddle, I would be so mad.
Dude,
they
still feud to this day. There are like 10th generation Hatfield and McCoys that still fight each other.
That's
in Kentucky.
crazy.
Can y'all believe Kelly's never heard of the Hatfield and McCoys? It's a freaking movie.
Okay, when did it come out? In the 70s?
No. Everybody's heard of the Hatfield and McCoys except Kelly.
Okay, well, I didn't hear
Well, now you know.
Well, now I know. But I will tell you this, that guy's name was Devil. Do you know I had a neighbor?
Devil Ants.
Do you know I had a neighbor
McCoy.
named Vicious? That is a true story.
That has nothing to do with the true crime time
I'm just
machine.
saying Vicious and Devil. I mean, the names are pretty hardcore.
All right.
Let me go to my
What
story.
you got
then.
for us, Kelly?
All right, I'm gonna shoot y'all straight on this one. No pun intended. This thing has me pretty damn mad. Okay.
Where are you going to?
So we're gonna go to Louisville, Kentucky.
Same place we were just at.
Well, listen to this, guys, and let this really simmer, okay? Ronald Exantis, the man that was found not guilty by reason of insanity in the 2015 stabbing death of a 6-year-old boy. His name was Logan Tipton, but he was convicted of assaulting the boy's family. He was released from a Kentucky prison on July 29th of 2026 as a free man with no supervision further. He stabbed a 6-year-old. This has irked me since I first heard this case. Exantis, who's 42, completed his adjusted 20...
He didn't stab. He killed the 6-year-old.
Well, killed the little boy. I thought he stabbed him then.
Well, he did.
Yeah, but
he killed him.
Yeah, I know, but my point is that it's a 6-year-old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is a baby. And this guy's walking free. I don't know how his family is holding it together.
Tell us about it.
So Exantis, who was 42, completed his adjusted 20-year sentence at the Kentucky State Reformatory in Oldham County. Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet spokesperson Morgan Hall confirmed the release, stating, quote, pursuant to state law passed by Kentucky's General Assembly, Ronald Exantis has served the sentence that was issued by the Woodford Circuit Court and has been released. He is no longer in the custody of the Department of Corrections. The Kentucky Parole Board did not release Exantis, and he was not released early, obviously making the point that he served a sentence. That's why he was let out. So in December of 2015, Exantis drove from Indiana to Kentucky, entered the unlocked Tipton family home, took a kitchen knife, and then fatally stabbed Logan Tipton multiple times in the head while that little boy was sleeping. He also stabbed Logan's father, Dean Tipton, and 2 sisters during the attack. A Woodford Circuit County jury in 2018 returned a split verdict, not guilty by reason of insanity on the murder and first-degree burglary charges, but guilty for mentally ill on 2 counts of second-degree assault and 1 count of fourth-degree assault. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison for all of the assaults. So it's important to note that the Kentucky Parole Board had repeatedly denied him discretionary parole, but he was first released on October 1st of 25 under Kentucky's mandatory reentry supervision program because he accumulated good time credits, educational credits, and the time that he served. Within days of that release, he traveled to Marion County, Florida, and on or about October the 9th, he was arrested for failing to register as a convicted felon within the required 48 hours of arrival, a violation of his supervision conditions. Mm-hmm. Like, this guy can't even follow the basic rules to be let out early.
Right.
He was returned to Kentucky, where the parole board revoked his mandatory reentry supervision in November of 25 and ordered him to serve out the remainder of his sentence. His final release on July 29th carried no parole, no probation requirements whatsoever. Officials noted that sentence credits reduced the original maximum serve-out date of November 2035 by nearly 9 years. This case drew national attention and contributed to the passage of Logan's Law, which reformed aspects of the insanity defense, split verdicts, and mandatory reentry supervision and sentencing for certain violent offenses. Attorney Kelly Kearney acknowledged the release and the concerns it raised for the Tipton family and the community, stating her office had taken every lawful action available. The Department of Corrections noted it lacks authority to hold someone beyond the expiration of a valid court-imposed sentence. But I got to say something real quick, Jim. I know you're ready to pop off, but I have to say something. If he was too crazy to be found guilty of the murder, how the hell he isn't too crazy to be released? Right. I don't understand that.
They release people that are found not guilty by reason of insanity, unfortunately, and he's released.
That's wrong.
I agree 100%. What do you think should have happened?
I think that if he was too crazy, okay, for the conviction of the murder, then you take his ass and you put him in a mental hospital. You already gave him one chance. He broke
forever. I mean, I'm asking. I'm not saying I disagree.
I mean, it's kind of a short-sighted way of me saying it, but ultimately, yes, I think that he's a very dangerous person. He went and killed a complete stranger and tried to kill the rest of the family.
Yeah, he could have had 4 murders.
And I'm not saying he's not crazy. I do think there's something very wrong with him. Right. So to that point, what the hell are you talking about? Mandatory reentry? There should be no mandatory. So we're giving him all of the benefits, and I understand that that's what happened. I'm not blaming Department of Corrections, and I'm not blaming law enforcement or anything. But there is a problem here, and I think that Logan's Law. I'm going to go actually read up on that one, because this is not right. He already broke parole within 24 hours? 48 hours of the first time that he was released. But then you're still going to give him the 9-year shortened sentence on credits? That should not have been an opportunity. He broke the conditions.
Right.
Why the hell were you still allowing him 9 years? That little boy's still dead, believe it or not. He never got to live his life. The family was destroyed, and then this fucker gets to go walk around free, and it makes me angry. That's miscarriage of justice. If I ever saw it, that's it.
All right. I agree. Let's go to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And the New Mexico Supreme Court has ruled that body camera footage of Alexee Trevizo can not be used as evidence in prosecuting her for the death of a newborn child of her newborn child, saying physician-patient privilege remained even though police and Trevizo's mother were in the room when the doctor asked Trevizo if the newborn baby who was found dead, about the newborn baby who was found dead in a trash can. Prosecutors argued that physician-patient privilege was waived because police and the mother, her mother, were in the room when the doctor told Trevizo about the dead newborn. Quote, the state's argument urges us to adopt a per se law that whenever a third person is present who is not necessary for care, that while the patient communicates with the doctor, you essentially are waiving your confidentiality, regardless of who that person is or the circumstances. We reject the argument as inconsistent with state law, case law rather, in the policy interest underlying the physician-patient privilege. Now, staff had started running tests on Trevizo and giving her morphine for her pain when she allegedly left the hospital room to use the restroom. When she returned, she got back into bed, and a member of the staff's cleaning crew went to clean the bathroom and noticed a trash bag felt heavy. When she looked inside, she finds the body of a newborn baby. That ended up being Trevizo's baby. Police arrived after the hospital called them and said, we may have a crime here. Trevizo was in the middle of receiving medical treatment when police walked into the hospital room wearing body cameras. A doctor is seen on body camera video telling Trevizo they discovered a dead baby in the bathroom. She said, quote, I'm sorry, it came out of me. I didn't know what to do. Trevizo's mother asked how big the baby is when a nurse informs her the baby appeared to be full term. Trevizo allegedly said, quote, nothing was crying. Trevizo allegedly confirmed to her mother that she put the newborn in the trash bag. She has maintained that the baby was stillborn and later explained she held the baby and there was no movement, no breathing, nothing. She was released from the hospital after getting treatment and allowed to go home and continue going to school. But she was arrested on May 10th of 2023 in charge of first-degree murder after the autopsy report came back showing the newborn had air in his lungs and evidence of a hemorrhage consistent with hypoxia. Trevizo's charges were filed based on a conversation in the body cam video, as well as hospital security camera video that showed her walking in and out of the bathroom where the newborn was discovered. And the body cam video and security camera video now cannot be used as evidence.
Yeah, I went and I read the ruling on this too, because I was kind of confuzzled by it, but I now understand how the judge, how they came to this ruling. So, you don't forfeit your privilege, your doctor patient privilege just because some people come into the room. And part of the argument here,
well, it's HIPAA law,
right? It's HIPAA, but part of the problem here too is that the doctor invited the officers to come into the room. The doctor was like, come here, and then turned around. And basically the doctor started kind of interrogating her from what I understand, from what I have seen and understand. And the doctor basically was like, we found a dead baby. And like she kind of believed that that might've been what just happened. So the issue here becomes the little girl, the mom of the baby, didn't get the opportunity to decline because the doctor told the cops to come in. The cops came in, and then she was asked a question, and then she was also under the effects of narcotics because they had been giving her that a grave level of pain for having just given birth and these other things. And so, you don't get blanket, the doctor, I feel like the doctor made the mistake here, but the cops didn't realize what was going to be uttered, like a spontaneous utterance type thing. But because of the way that it worked out, what should have happened was the doctor should have been a mandatory reporter. That's the argument here that people are raising. That, well, wait a minute, how can you say none of this evidence can be used? Because, a doctor is a mandatory reporter if that baby was in the trash can.
And they did that.
Right, but they didn't do it right because the doctor...
They called the police.
I know, but this is the problem. The doctor called the police. The police then should have started their own investigation, but because the doctor was in the room, told them to come in, they walked in, and then the doctor starts questioning the little girl before she's even been Mirandized or she's been anything. then the prosecution is trying to say, well, that's patient privilege is out the way because, of all the people that were already in there. But the doctor is the one who told them, come here. I think that she killed this baby. But
the police are the ones that the onus is on. They should have stopped right there and said, before you say anything, you have the right to remain silent. A good police officer is not going to let you just start talking because they know anything you say before you read your Miranda rights is inadmissible in court. Because you can say, I didn't know I had a right to remain silent.
Yeah, all of that.
So all of that should have occurred.
But I don't blame the cops because this is how it went, though. The doctor tells cops, this is the girl, come see. The cops walk in, but then the doctor, before the cops even get to
the doctor starts asking questions, but before she responds, that police officer has the opportunity to say, wait, before you say anything else.
She didn't ask a question, though. The doctor just was like, there's a dead baby they found in the trash can. She made a statement. And that's when the little girl goes, it just fell out of me. It wasn't crying. And the cops are like, oh.
Okay, well, they can't stop her and say, wait, before you say anything.
They can.
You have the right. Now, say that again?
They can. But if you look at the timeline of how it went down, they didn't arrest her right then. They then started doing their investigation as like it was supposed to go. Then whenever they went and made the arrest, it was done later on.
Right.
Because
we covered all that.
Yeah, because they used the video and they used the body cam and they used everything. So it looked like it was
totality of circumstances.
Yeah, signed, sealed, delivered. But because of the patient privilege thing, that's where she's going to get the upper hand. And I got to tell you something, I actually agree.
And it just makes the video, it makes the body cam inadmissible. It doesn't make the case inadmissible.
Right.
Like they can still use statements and all those things.
Yeah,
they just can't show her body cam, footage of that incident.
Well, but they also said they can't use the hospital footage. It nulled that, but they're still going to have the witnesses, the people that found the baby and all that.
That's a big part of the evidence that they had.
Yeah,
especially the hospital video.
Yeah, but what if
shows her going in and out of the bathroom?
If there were no other pregnant people on the floor at that time, like you can use deductive reasoning here. A reasonable human being, But I think what her defense is, I really do think that they're going to do this. I would say that she's how old? 17, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
That she got scared and I don't think the first degree murder is going to be the charge that's going to stick because they're going to say anyone with her same level of experience and or mindset and all that may have made that poor decision as well. And I just don't think that's going to meet the muster of a first degree murder because she didn't have the baby till she was in the hospital. I don't know why they didn't charge her with second degree is what I'm getting at.
But if the baby had air in their lungs,
yeah, but then
you killed them.
Yeah, but I don't think
you killed him.
Well,
apparently he was a boy.
We don't. But what I'm saying is her experience as a new mother that just grabbed. She might have thought the baby wasn't breathing, or they can argue that she thought the baby was not breathing. They could argue that, like that's why she panicked and didn't know what to do.
Okay, and playing devil's advocate there, if I'm a doctor on the other side of that, I can say, well, the baby was breathing and had air in its lungs. You can tell when a baby's breathing.
A 17-year-old, if that baby was struggling to breathe and wasn't doing well, and she just gave birth, I think
you're assuming the baby was struggling to breathe. Nobody else is saying that.
Nobody knows.
Well, they're showing it. The autopsy is determining all of that was operating as expected.
Yeah, but
when you come out, do you not cry?
Not all babies, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well,
that's
the three I sat in the delivery room for were crying like crazy.
Hell, they took mine over there and we're having to beat her on the back.
You got to do, of course, you got to clear lungs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. Her level of experience is 0 and she's 17. She has this baby. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying the defense could argue that
that's what we're doing. We're showing both sides of it.
Right. I think that the defense could have a better argument there to say that she just didn't have any experience and she thought the baby was dead and she panicked. That's why she put.
Have you followed this case?
I've read the appeals and things on it.
You followed the
Supreme
case.
Court rulings, not to a T, but enough.
Okay. I have. I mean, I knew about it when it first came out. I reported on it on another podcast, but I didn't do a big deep dive into it. I had a TikToker I used to produce that actually did a whole episode on it. And she was in belief that this girl was a piece of shit and killed her baby. I don't know. I don't know enough about the case, but I'm going to dig into it. I'm curious.
Yeah, that one's interesting because I'm just going to tell you all three. Personal experience matters, and that's why juries have so many people on them. But of all three children that I gave birth to, not one came out crying.
Well, let me ask you this,
Not
Kelly,
one.
and I'm about to change your whole mind
That's
here.
fine.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
If you had a baby in a bathroom and you were at a hospital, why would you throw the baby in the trash?
I wouldn't.
Why would anybody? Why would an innocent person that did nothing wrong not run out of that bathroom with the baby, panicking and saying, "Oh my gosh, I just had this baby and he's not breathing and help." You're in a prenatal a hospital.
Yeah. Do you know why she was at the hospital?
Why?
It wasn't for pregnancy.
I understand that, but you had a baby in the hospital.
I know, but I'm just. We're playing devil's advocate here, right?
I know.
Okay, so I don't agree that you should throw your baby. I want to be clear about that. You shouldn't put your baby.
I'm not saying you do, but let me finish.
Okay.
She had the baby in the bathroom, and she made a decision to throw the baby in the trash and put stuff on top of it to hide the fact that she had the baby. An innocent person doesn't do that, right? I'm asking. An innocent person that did nothing wrong.
Well, I don't know about that. So I'm thinking though in the mind of a 17-year-old girl. That's where I'm at. I'm not thinking at this as a 40-year-old woman with lots of life experience behind me. And there's a lot of unknowns here. I don't even know if she knew she was pregnant because she went to the hospital with severe back pain. Well, back pain is an obvious sign of labor. Her mother was with her. So whenever they go and she has the baby, the mom's own statement of how big was the baby almost lends me to believe that the mom didn't know that she was having it. Like, is it a newborn? Is it a, did she have a miscarriage? Like how big is the baby? Why would mom ask that?
Okay. So because maybe the mom didn't know. And I truly believe she knew because I do remember seeing pictures of her in high school and you could see she was pregnant. She started wearing giant sweaters and I think she knew. I mean, only she knows if she really knew, but I believe that if you're pregnant and you're that far along, you know it.
Yeah, she knew.
Okay. So again,
I'm just playing devil's advocate here that there are people that go and have babies. I know a girl that went to the hospital because she had such heartburn she couldn't get over it, and she had a baby because her baby was one that
but
settled
nobody's
in the back.
Debating that that's possible.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is an innocent person doesn't have the baby and then throw it in the trash and pile things on top of it.
All right, so
why would you do that?
So that's what I'm getting at. So a 17-year-old. It'll be interesting to see what they argue in the defense. We got to keep up with this one. A 17-year-old goes in the bathroom, has a baby, whether she knew she was pregnant or not. Okay. She has that baby. Her experience in that moment is zero because she hasn't had a baby before. And so and the baby's not crying and she's looking at it and she's like, why isn't the baby crying? And she could have panicked. She really could have panicked. And so she's like, oh God, it's going to look like I did something, oh my God, I don't get it. And I'm not saying it's right, but the defense could raise that.
I understand. Just my opinion is I don't think that's what happened, but
so for mom knew she was pregnant, then why would she do it anyway?
I'm not saying the mom knew. I don't know if the mom knew or not. I'm saying she clearly knew.
Yeah, I think she did it.
I don't debate what you're saying about her panicking. But just because you panic, you're still guilty of murder.
But if she truly believed that baby wasn't breathing and her mother didn't know she was pregnant, in a 17-year-old mind, she might go, crap, it's dead. What, I don't know what to do. And she puts it in the trash can because her mother doesn't know she's pregnant and the baby is dead. And she's doing an immature thing to try to solve her problem. That's where you're
losing me completely though. You're saying a 17-year-old mind. 17-year-olds know the difference between right and wrong. 17-year-olds know they shouldn't throw a baby in the trash. To me, you're acting like she was 11.
No, I'm acting like she may have feared her.
Damn near an adult.
I'm acting like she may fear her mother's reaction if she has that baby.
Sure. I don't debate that.
Okay, so if she's afraid, and these are all ifs, y'all. We don't know if her mother, we don't know anything. This is, again, speculation, and we're just talking it out. But what I'm saying is I, taught 17-year-olds a very long time, and I'm telling you, this stuff that comes out of their mouth is wild sometimes. You're like, I had girls that didn't even know that they don't pee out of the same hole that they give birth to, and one of those girls was pregnant. 17 years old. Yeah, I'm telling you.
But
so if she did not know, these are a lot of ifs, but if her mother didn't know she was pregnant, and because if they were at the hospital and she's there for back pain, wouldn't her mother tell the hospital she's pregnant?
But Kelly, nobody, again, is debating whether or not her mom knew is, to me, absolutely irrelevant. Whether or not she was scared of her mom. What we want to know here is, did she kill that baby?
Right.
I believe she did.
That's okay.
And I believe she did because when she had that baby, she didn't bring the baby out of the bathroom and say, I just had a baby. Scared or not, you still killed the baby.
But if she, and this is the argument I'm making, if she truly believed in her same level of experience, she doesn't have experience having babies. And if she
Nobody does till they do.
Okay. But if she thought that baby wasn't breathing, I'm not saying it was the right choice. It was not the right choice. Clearly it wasn't.
Right.
But if she was holding this baby that she just had in the bathroom and she thought it wasn't breathing. So in her mind, oh my gosh, he's dead. She also said it. So I don't even know if she looked at the genitalia because she didn't ever say he. It's a little boy. But if she thinks he is dead, oh my God. And her mother didn't know she was pregnant. In her mind, she might say, well, he's dead. I mean, I can't bring him back. Let me just do this and then I'll just try to wash my hands of it.
That sounds absolutely crazy.
Okay, well, there's a cheerleader that hid her pregnancy and was doing cheerleader stunts and then put the baby...
That is her.
No, put the baby in a shoebox in her closet.
Okay, well, so it may be a different case. She was also a cheerleader.
Yeah, but it's not unheard of that girls have done weird things because they didn't want people to know that they were pregnant. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but if you want to raise reasonable doubt, you could argue based off of her own statements, which it can't be used now, by the way, when she said... He wasn't breathing.
I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to use the statement. I think a good prosecutor is going to get in there and say, when you had the baby, why did you not go out and say something's wrong with this baby?
Right.
And why did you throw it in the trash and then try to hide it? She tried to hide it. She then went back in the bathroom and cleaned up all the blood. She tried to hide it.
She did the wrong thing. But why did she try to hide it is the question I'm asking, is all I'm asking. I think that the defense is going to bring that up. And
well, I think you nailed it. I think her mom didn't know, and she didn't want her mom to know.
Yeah. So,
but that still doesn't make her not guilty of murder.
If she thought the baby wasn't breathing.
Come on, Kelly.
Okay.
You really believe that?
She said it.
Yeah, I understand.
Under morphine. On morphine, she said it.
I understand. I want to know what y'all think about this one. So comment, because, of course, we post all these on the Facebook page. Comment and let me know what you think on this one, because I think she clearly knew that baby was breathing. I just don't believe that. That's just my personal opinion. Kelly could be right.
We don't have enough evidence either way right now, so I don't.
No, but I use common sense sometimes, and my common sense tells me that. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right.
Maybe I've been around.
But we'll see how many people think that.
Maybe I've been around too many 17-year-old girls for a long time.
That could be too. But I've been around two of them, and they knew. They sure as hell knew right from wrong, and they sure knew when a baby was breathing or not. They could certainly tell that. So that's just my 17-year-olds. I don't know. Maybe there's some idiots out there, but.
I don't know. I mean, you can take a breath and it still be agonal breathing. So that breathing doesn't always mean effective, clear, chest up, chest down breathing. Because in the hypoxia,
don't debate.
I know, but in the hypoxia, I just think they will have an argument. She shouldn't have done it. I totally agree. She's going to be guilty of something. But I don't know that the first degree murder charge, I think they should have gone on a lower charge to seal that fate, is what I'm trying to say. I think they overcharged.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, they would have had a better chance. But maybe whoever it is, that prosecutor says, I can prove this.
They're going to get a plea deal.
They're going to hear this case and hear my point I just brought up and say, that's a dang good point. We're running with it.
Well, I think what you said is Captain Obvious, that it's not right to put the baby in the trash can. I think that's.
But the action of putting the baby in the trash can, it speaks to guilt. Speaks to knowing you're guilty. You don't try to hide a crime you didn't know you committed, Kelly.
But
how can you try to hide a crime you know you committed?
But her argument is that the baby she thought was already dead. That's her. That's what she said.
Well, I mean, that's just an insane argument to me because it's still a crime. Even if she thought that, it's still a crime. But if you thought the baby was already dead, why didn't you bring it out and say the baby's dead?
Because she didn't
She's justifying throwing it in the trash.
Because she didn't want her mother to know.
Because she thought the baby was already dead.
I think if that baby was screaming, crying, okay, out loud screaming and crying, that she would have been more inclined to walk out with that baby. If the baby was not screaming and crying and was newborn, breathing, but not reacting like,
you throw it away instead of saying I just had a stillborn?
I think that she thought in her young mind, I think the argument is going to be that she thought, well, I can't bring him back if he's not alive, is what I'm saying the defense's argument is going to be.
Yeah.
Because first-degree murder is intent. And if she said in the room, in that spontaneous utterance, it wasn't breathing, you don't know whether what she's saying is true or not. You really don't know.
No, but you can know if the baby was breathing, and that's when you would get the experts up there, doctors that are know way more than you and I do about this stuff.
I believe the baby was breathing.
And they would sit up there, and either they're going to say, maybe you couldn't really tell, or they may say, oh, no, this baby, you could tell it was breathing. There's ways maybe that they would know that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I believe that the baby was breathing. I want to say that. I'm just curious if the mother knew, because the totality of the circumstance, those teenagers in high school try to hide all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah, but murder?
It's not murder, though, if she thought the baby was dead in her mind. And that's where intent is that the whole point is you have to prove intent to kill for a first-degree murder charge. And what I'm saying is I think that there's room for, here for some reasonable doubt. That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, we're going to ask the listeners, are you on Team Jim or Team Kelly on that? We want to know. If I lose, I'm going to be pissed.
I don't know what the question is you're asking.
The question is, where are you at on that? Do you agree with Kelly that there's some sort of reasonable doubt possibility here? Or do you agree with Jim that she knew that what she was doing
All right, so that's what we're asking.
Was murder.
Do you think that there could be room for reasonable doubt, or do you think that it's signed, sealed, delivered?
Yep. All right. Any final thoughts, Kelly? Heck no.
My brain is cooked. But hey, again, go check out his Nolan Wells on Exposed. Go follow that saga that he's covering, and then you can go on my You're clicking your pen really loud.
Okay.
And you can go on mine, and you can or can't. I don't care. I messed that
She's gone. All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
Your host of Crime
War
Weekly.
Overtime.